Our opening words were written by Leslie Takahashi. Despite distance and fear, we are connected. Despite loneliness and change, we are connected. Across different experiences and lives, we are connected. Even in the face of the inevitable losses of life, we are connected. When we wish to laugh, we are connected. When we need to mourn, we are connected. Across a nation divided, we are connected. Even when we dance alone in a room, we are connected. In the heat of the sun, we are connected. In the glow of the stars, we are connected. Across the limits of our imagination, we are connected. Even when nature trembles, we are connected. Our Director of Lifespan Religious Education, Beth Curtis, is here with the Time for All Ages.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and good morning. This morning's story is a story adapted from a well-loved UU book called A Lamp in Every Corner. This is a story about a young boy named Hosea Ballou, who grew up more than 200 years ago in New England. Hosea would grow up to be an important leader in the Universalist tradition. But when Hosea was a child, he wasn't a he wasn't a Universalist. I'm so used to saying you. He grew up a Baptist at a time when Baptists believed that although God created all people, only a very small number of people would be allowed into heaven after they died. Heaven was believed, of course, to be a joyful, peaceful place close to God. But if you didn't get into heaven, there was only one place to go. H-E double toothpicks. That is hell. A place of suffering and desperation. Even being a good person did not guarantee a ticket to heaven. Now, this is a story about how one muddy little boy began to wonder about that big question. In a small house, in a small town, there lived a young boy named Hosea Ballou. Hosea loved to learn. He loved to ask questions, why and how and what if. He loved to play. He played hide and go seek with his 9 older brothers and sisters. In the winter, he jumped into snowbanks, and in the fall, he leapt into piles of leaves. Oh, but spring was his favorite season, because in spring, it rained, and it rained, and rain meant mud. Hosea loved mud. He loved mud when it was soft and squishy. He loved it when it was thick and sticky. He made mud pies, poked sticks into puddles, and jumped in with both feet, sending muddy water everywhere. Yes, Hosea loved mud. But not everyone in his family felt the same way. Hosea's mother had died when he was very young, so his older sisters took care of him. And this was long before washing machines, when washing clothes meant scrubbing everything by hand in big tubs with water you carried in from the well, and having heated the water with wood that you had to chop. Hosea was washed much the same way because, well, he was muddy as well. Oh, but they loved Hosea. So they washed him and dried him and made him clean again. Eventually, though, Hosea's father, who was a preacher in the Baptist church, called him into his writing room and said sternly, "Hosea, you must not play in the mud." "Yes, Father," said Hosea. And he tried. He stopped splashing on purpose. He stopped making enormous mud pies. Oh, but sometimes the mud was just, well, there. He had to walk through it to feed the pigs or gather eggs. And sometimes, once he got already muddy, he played just a little bit and, well, he got a little muddier. And again, his sisters washed him and dried him and made him clean. But again, his father called him in, "Hosea, you must not play in the mud." "Yes, Father," Hosea asked. But then he asked quietly, "Are you angry with me?" "I am disappointed," his father said, "and a little angry." Hosea looked down and asked, "Do you still love me?" "Hosea," his father said, and now his voice more gentle, "I will always love you, no matter what." "Even if I get muddy again?" Hosea asked. "Yes, even then, but remember, you must try to stay clean." "I will," Hosea promised, and he did, well, most of the time. And as Hosea grew older, he stopped loving mud quite so much, but he never stopped loving, thinking, and asking questions. As a teenager, he asked his father, "How can it be that God lets only a few people into heaven, even when they try to live good lives?" His father had no answer. Another time, Hosea asked, "How does it make sense that God would create people, knowing most of them would suffer forever in hell after they die?" Again, his father had no answer. Hosea thought a lot about this, and he searched for answers. He read the Bible, he listened to other preachers, and he visited Universalist churches. And slowly, he came to believe something quite different. He came to believe that God's love was like a parent's love. Disappointed sometimes, angry sometimes, but never giving up. At 19, Hosea chose to believe that everyone, everywhere, would eventually be welcomed into heaven. No one would be lost forever. "How can you believe that?" his father asked. "How can God welcome even people who have done wrong?" Hosea answered, "Because, Father, I remember that you told me what you told me when I was small. Even when someone is muddy, even when you are disappointed, love does not stop." When we speak of the love that is at the center of our UU values, we may use different language than Hosea did. Some of us speak of God, some of beloved community, some of us about respecting the spark of humanity within every person. But our faith still teaches us this truth, that no one is beyond love and respect. No one is disposable. No one is cast out forever. And love does not stop, no matter how muddy we are.
The symbol of our faith is the flaming chalice. I invite Wanda Frazee to come forward and light our chalice as I read the words of Maureen Killoran. Open your hearts, my friends, and let yourself feel the reality of absence. Open your hearts and acknowledge that as humans, we necessarily gather with the knowledge of death. Open your hearts, make room for the healing balm of connection, the release of forgiveness. No matter what pain dwells within your spirit, or how fragile the hope that struggles to be born, there is a place for you here in life's holy circle of compassion and love. Thank you, Wanda. We are so pleased to welcome back as guest musicians today the First Coast Flute Choir. They will be playing selections from a work entitled The Ancient City. Steeped in history and legend, The Ancient City is a three-movement work for flute choir inspired by St. Augustine, Florida, the oldest continually inhabited European established settlement in the United States. Composer Nicole Chamberlain captures the city's rich narrative through music shaped by exploration, conflict, and growth. The First Coast Flute Choir presents Nicole Chamberlain's The Ancient City. Thank you so much, First Coast Flute Choir, and good morning again. My name is Elizabeth DeCoux, and it's my privilege this morning to serve as worship associate for Reverend Carmen Emerson's service. I want to offer an especially warm welcome to any first-time or returning visitors who are here today. We're really glad you're here. If you stop by the welcome table near the entrance, you can get a name tag, you can find out more about us, and you can get information about classes we offer for people who'd like to know more about Unitarian Universalism and about our congregation. Also, please be aware that we share fellowship, coffee, and refreshments in the back of this room immediately after the service. I hope to see you there. And lastly, I offer a humble and friendly reminder to please silence your phones. As Unitarian Universalists, we have no shared mandatory creed to which everyone must adhere. What binds us together instead is covenant. Each Sunday, we repeat the words of the covenant this congregation created. The words are on the screen and in your order of service. I invite you to say them with me. We covenant to engage one another with honesty, kindness, and respect, to value diversity, seek understanding of our differences, and practice gracious accountability with care, love, and empathy. We make these promises to those who are here and those yet to come, so that we may be a safe, welcoming, and beloved community of acceptance, learning, and transformation. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing our call to worship. The words are in your order of service and on the screen.
Good morning. So I was counting, I bet you weren't, but I was counting the number of times that the word hope has been used in our service so far. In our opening words, in the songs that we've sung, in the introductions to so many things, hope has been mentioned. And when I think about hope, I think about the first poem of hope that I learned. You guys may be familiar with it. It's the Emily Dickinson poem. Do you know that poem, Hope is the Thing with Feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never fails at all? Thanks, Emily, but I don't think that's good enough. So I'm going to read you verbatim another poem about hope from a woman named Caitlin Seward, and the name of this poem is Hope is Not a Bird, Emily, It is a Sewer Rat. Hope is not the thing with feathers that comes home to roost when you need it most. Hope is an ugly thing with teeth and claws and patchy fur that has seen some shit. It's what thrives in the discards and survives in the ugliest parts of our world, able to find a way to go on when nothing else can even find a way in. It's the gritty, nasty little carrier of such diseases as optimism, persistence, perseverance, and joy, transmissible as it drags its tail across your path and bites you in the ass. Hope is not some delicate, beautiful little bird, Emily. It's a lowly little sewer rat that snorts pesticides like they were lines of coke and still shows up on time to work the next day, looking no worse for the wear. Caitlin Seward. So I'm talking about grief this morning, and I think there is a communal, collective grief among us. We are heavy with it. We don't even know how to talk about it. We are shaking our heads. We can't find the words. There are echoes for some of us of a certain age, of Kent State. And so we are in despair. We are grieving. And so what I want to tell you from my understanding of grief and how we respond to grief is that we are experiencing a particular kind of grief called moral distress. And moral distress is when our values are betrayed by people we trust, or when we betray our values because we feel like we have no other choice. And so what I want to do this morning is call us to not sweet little bird up on a branch hope, but sewer rat hope, that nitty-gritty sewer rat hope, because we know that hope is what is the bridge from despair to resilience. And if we get hopeless about things, then we become willing participants in our own annihilation. So we have to keep the hope, not as that dainty thing, but as that tough thing. And so thank you for indulging that language this morning, but I thought it was important to you to hear it. What I would like to do before we hear beautiful music again is invite you to turn to number 698 in your hymnal. We're going to read it together, and those of you who may not have been here before, I'll just tell you, if we read it like a dirge, I will stop us and start us again. So we're going to say this from the heart of our values as Unitarian Universalists, from the heart of this faith community. If you would read the words with me from my colleague Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. We are not alone. Thank you.
you so much, First Coast Flute Choir. Each week, we take an offering to support the mission and work of this church and to promote the function and beauty of our building and grounds. Whatever your choice is about giving today, We invite you to participate in this ritual by taking the plate when it comes to you and passing it to your neighbor. We are grateful for the gifts that support this church. Our offertory ushers, Chuck Smithers and Henry Haleko, will please come forward to receive the offering. When they have finished, I will invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our offertory hymn, number 123, Spirit of Life. Today we welcome BBUUC's affiliated community minister, Reverend Carmen Emerson. You may read more about her in the order of service. Some of her credentials you're already familiar with, but one that's new is that she holds the certification in Death and Grief Studies from the Center for Loss and Life Transition in Fort Collins, Colorado. Today's sermon is one in a series of 6. Today's sermon is Develop a New Self-Identity. Reverend Carmen, the pulpit is yours.
You guys are very sweet, thank you. I have great appreciation for worship services here at Buckman Bridge. They're so thoughtful and intentional, and it's always a pleasure to be welcomed into this pulpit and to spend this sacred time with you. So this morning is the 4th sermon in a worship series about the 6 needs of mourning. I want to let you know that if this is your first time at this service, please let me assure you that this is not like a morose, heavy thing. We're just looking with very thoughtful and open minds and hearts about what the 6 needs of mourning are. Linda, can you go to the next slide, please? And thank you, Linda, for doing slides so I don't have to try to preach and do slides because that could be disastrous. So the 6 needs of mourning are, number 1, acknowledging the reality of the death. Number 2, feeling the pain of the loss. Number 3, remembering the person and creatures who died. Number 4, developing new self-identity. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. Number 5, searching for meaning. And number 6, receiving ongoing support from others. I want you to notice, please, that these are identified as needs of mourning rather than stages of grief. In our culture, we've been taught to think about the 5 stages of grief, and so I'll say this in each of these services. If you've ever been taught that, please say thank you and let that move on out of your consciousness. Because we know that we don't move through grief that orderly, right? We don't have a stage of grief. Okay, now I can check this one off and move the next one. It's not how it works in our hearts, our minds, or in our bodies. So grieving is recursive. We're going to go forward a little bit and we're going to come back. We're going to think we've made some progress on this one, but we'll have a grief burst about something. This is a very recursive movement, not this orderly stage of things that happen. So I just want to notice that we're talking about the needs of mourning, and that we're going to revisit those throughout this series. I want to begin by acknowledging that the reason that I wanted to offer this during the course of a worship service, if you can go forward, Linda, is because I think that talking about grief is very appropriate to do in a community of people who are covenanted with one another to do really respectful listening and attention. So I always include this quote from Dr. Wofelt, who I studied with, just because it reminds us that grief is a spiritual journey. We are a faith community engaged in spiritual exploration together. So he says, grief is a normal, necessary part of human life. It is first and foremost a spiritual journey because it forces us to examine our most fundamental beliefs about why we are here and what life means. Those 2 questions, why are we here and what does life mean, those are inherently spiritual questions, even existential questions. And in my experience, the kind of meaningful questions best asked in the company of people who share my values about being a good human being in this place and in this time in history. If we could go to the next slide, Linda. So one of the things we've talked about also, and I'll keep reminding us of this, is that grief and mourning are 2 different things. We tend to use those words interchangeably, but they are actually 2 separate things. So grief are all of those things happening on the inside of you when your heart is broken. Mourning is that external, all the external things happening. It's what goes on outside you when we express our grief. Grief, again, is internal. It's that feeling, thinking, turning inward, remembering, and pondering. Mourning is external, talking, acting, doing, creating, and moving. So this morning, if you go to the next slide, please, Linda, we are focused on the 6 needs of mourning. We're focused on number 4 of the 6. Before we move on, I want to do a quick recap in case you haven't been here for the past ones, but I'm going to do a really quick recap because I want to be respectful of our time together this morning, and I know we have a speaker coming in. So I'll just remind you that sermons about needs 1, 2, and 3 are on our website, and so if you want to do a deeper dive into any of those needs, you can go there. But I will say that number 1, if you go advance, Linda, number 1, acknowledging the reality of the death, this is the fundamental need of mourning because death comes usually without our permission. Death comes without our permission, meaning no matter what we think we know or how we've prepared or how prepared we believe ourselves to be, the actual reality of the death is something different. And so each one of us must reconcile our head and heart to the new reality that this person or creature with whom we were in relationship is no longer physically present in our lives, and that affects us cognitively, emotionally, socially, spiritually, and physically. And so we have to practice acknowledging the reality of the death so that we can begin to move on. And it takes the time it takes. So if anyone tells you, oh, you should be at stage 2 by now, it's been 3 months and 42 days, you need to move on. You are the expert on your own grief. So please also hear me say that. You're the expert on your own grief. You will move through these needs of mourning at the pace that you can and at the pace that you need to. We want to go on to number 2, the second need of loss, mourning, which is feeling the pain of the loss. And so I'll just say that, I mentioned a few minutes ago, grief is holistic. We're going to feel it across all of those different, cognitively, emotionally, socially, spiritually, and physically. Our minds will distract us and numb us to things. Our emotions are going to be all over the place. Who here has ever been grieving and found yourself like really angry? Right? That's a part of it, right? So those big emotions, yes, those big emotions are going to be a part of our grief. So we need to feel the pain of the loss. You've heard me say this before, and this is important. I hear it every support group I run, I hear the word should. I know that I should. My church tells me I should. My family tells me I should. Fill in the blank. Be over this by now. Be moving on by now. Shouldn't feel so angry. So I always say to the people in the support groups I do at Baptist Health, do not should on yourself. Other people you can't control if they should on you. You do not need to should on yourself, okay? SHOULD, that's what I said. So feel the pain of the loss, live with that. And the way to deal with this particular need of loss is to spend a little time each day with all of the thoughts and the feelings. This is called dosing the loss. So I don't mean immerse yourself in it, but spend a little bit of time each day just acknowledging the feelings that you're actually experiencing in your mind and your heart and your body as you move through your needs of mourning. The third need of mourning that we've talked about is remembering the person and creatures who died. And I have told Dr. Wofelt when I told him I was doing this sermon series, I said, I've amended he's been doing this for 40 years. And so I said, by the way, I've amended your third need of mourning to include the creatures who died. And I knew he would be okay with that because he has a beloved dog named Lainey, and he's like, oh yeah, that's okay. So I know we are a congregation of people who love our animals. And so remember the person and creatures who died. And remembering that is just an acknowledgement of the significance of this relationship in your life. You will always have a relationship of memory. The person may not be here and now, or the creature may not be here and now, but you will always have a relationship of memory with that person you loved. And you are, one of the things that we know is that when remembering the past makes the future possible. Because eventually we come to realize, oh, that love between me and that person, between me and that creature was a beautiful part of my life, and I don't want to eclipse that and make that never happen again. So that is part of what remembering the person or creature who died, we go a little bit backwards so that we can go forwards. So that brings us to the fourth need of mourning that we're talking about this morning, which is developing a new self-identity. This goes to the heart of our human development, no matter what stage of life we are in, because our personal identities, our self-perceptions, our sense of who we are in great part established by our way of being in relationship with others. So I want to just hold a few seconds of silence and ask you this question. Think of 5 words to describe your self-identity. So just think of 5 words to describe your self-identity. Now, perhaps some of those words related to what you do, the job you have now, or maybe that you've retired from. Maybe you thought, I'm a Unitarian Universalist. Maybe you thought activist, artist, musician, performer, creator, writer, lifelong learner. Maybe those things were part of the self-identity that you thought of when I invited you to consider that. But I wonder how many of your self-description words came from your relationships with other people. Can anybody tell me some of the words that you thought of that are related, that are about your relationships with other people? Grandmother. Thank you, Cindy. Caregiver. Big, that's huge. Caregiver. Listener. Teacher. Yeah. Yes. a compassionate presence for other people. So all of this, I was thinking, as I was exegeting the congregation, as the saying goes, I was thinking of the people I know. I'm a teacher in relationship with my students. I'm a leader in relationship with those I serve. I'm a volunteer in relationship with others who care about this church. I'm the daughter, sister, best friend, wife, mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, a dog lover, a cat servant, in relationship with my parents, my siblings, my friends, my spouse, my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the dogs who love me, and the cats who disdainfully rely upon me. So there may be other relationships that come up for you as you think about your self-identity, but just notice how much of your self-identity comes from the relationships that you're in. So when someone with whom we are in a relationship dies, our self-identity naturally changes. And not only that, but the way society defines us also changes. So anybody here maybe words like widow or survivor now are pressed upon you as part of your identity, because that's how people need to help navigate who's this new person now, even as you're trying to figure out in this void, who am I? This can get really complicated for us when we find ourselves needing to take on the roles of the responsibility of the person we lost. So if you go to the next slide, please, Linda. Dr. Wofelt beautifully summarizes this fourth need of mourning, and perhaps this will resonate with you. Now I realize I knew myself so little. This death has forced me to become reacquainted with myself. I must slow down and listen. I must slow down and listen. Dr. Wofelt often uses two phrases about grief and mourning. He says you have to honor the divine momentum, and that there are no rewards for speed. There are no rewards for speed in grief. So I'll begin to close by sharing that my Aunt Mary Ann died 2 weeks ago at age 81. For the last 5 decades, she has been mourning the loss of her daughter, Holly, who died at 6 years old in an accident. I promise you that a day did not go by when Mary Ann did not think of Holly as her daughter and herself as Holly's mother. That was always a part of her identity. But after Holly's death all those years ago, Mary Ann eventually came to know herself not only as Holly's mother, but also eventually as mother to Larry Don. If she had stayed stuck in the past, only knowing herself as Holly's mother, none of her future would have been possible, including knowing herself as mother to Larry Don, as grandmother to his children, as great-grandmother to their children, and all of those relationships that brought meaning and purpose to her life. It took her a long time to know that, though. Divine momentum. Her self-identity changed after the death of Holly, and again after the death of her husband, and again after the death of her brother, my dad. She remembered those relationships with all the people she dearly loved and always knew herself to be the mother, wife, and sister in all those relationships. But those self-identities never eclipsed the person she continued becoming, the self-identity that evolved as she in life kept on lifing. Our self-identities will always be informed by our relationships with others, even when they are relationships of memory. And divine momentum really means life calls to life. So I want to leave you with some questions that you may be able to ask yourself. And if you want to grab a screenshot of these questions that come up, this is some work that you may do on the fourth need of mourning, developing a new self-identity. These are both questions we can ask ourselves, but also questions as companions in grief and mourning that we can ask people when they're ready to be asked questions. We don't need to do an interrogatory, but when they're ready to be in discernment, these are some questions. So Linda, if you want to go ahead and pop them all up, then we can give people a chance to take a screenshot of them. What does living without my person look like for me so far? What roles did they play in my life? Where am I in the process of developing a new self-identity? What identity changes have I already experienced as a result of this death? How am I feeling? What am I learning about myself? What may a new me look like? And so be sure to identify the positives and strengths that are coming into your life. You're doing things you didn't thought you could do, but now that's possible. So what may a new me look like? If people are treating me differently, how do I feel about that? Why am I here? What is my purpose? How can I lead a more heart and soul-centered life? What matters most to me now? That is a critical question. What matters most to me now? How am I taking care of myself as I work on this need of mourning? What help am I ready to request? And again, all of these questions are things that we as companions in grieving can ask the people that we're supporting. So if we can go to the next slide, Linda. To love another person is to risk grieving their loss and to face change after that loss. Most of us would agree that loving and being loved is worth the risk. So I want to close this morning with an affirmation for those who may be working on all the needs of mourning, including this fourth need of developing a new self-identity, and also to those who companion you. Each phase in my grief journey allows me to explore where I am right now. By accepting that I am where I most need to be, I am free to live today. The place I am today can become friend instead of foe. The journey into my loss has already created change, and the present and future will create more. Now may be the time to examine my expectations of myself and accept that I am where I need to be for now. As you examine these expectations, or as you companion someone examining their self-expectations, may you be a patient, compassionate, kind, and loving person towards all you have been and all you are yet to be. In the company of trusted companions, accept that you are where you can be and where you need to be for now, always evolving and never alone. May it be so, and may we be so for one another. Amen. I invite our song leaders to come forward now as we rise in body or in spirit to join in singing our closing hymn, number 311, Let It Be a Dance We Do. And bonus points if you risk a little movement during this hymn. If you Wow, y'all just took me to church. So, as Wanda Extinguishing the Chalice comes forward to, as we extinguish our chalice this morning, thank you, Wanda. Please hear these words of the Reverend Don Cooley. Let us go out into the world singing songs that proclaim liberty, songs that turn ashes into garlands, songs that bind up the afflicted and those who mourn, songs that, like oats, have roots that go deep and stand strong. Let us go out into the world singing. We know these songs, they vibrate through time in our very souls. They are the songs that give us life. They are the songs that give us meaning. They are the songs that give us purpose. Now it is our turn to take these life-giving songs out into the world. Let us go now singing these songs with voices deep and strong, and may the world join us in praise and in celebration and in love. Amen and blessed be.